Well, hello there. This is Shiva, and Pinbuilder got its update. Yay! It's version 4.5.2. In case you were wondering, there's lots of stuff in there. I was going to do a video and just go over some of the new stuff, but I've decided instead to do something else because I have noticed that I still have a big problem with optimization, and I believe I've got it figured out. What my problem is. So anyway, what you're looking at here is the new control panel for Nvidia to replace GeForce Experience. And one of the things is that we can now have custom settings by game. You could normally do it by right-clicking the desktop, calling up the Nvidia control panel, and then making some adjustments then. But they built it into this program, so it's kind of nice. And these will give you basic settings. So I've been trying to find a good balance with Pinbuilder because, as I said, there is actually quite a serious problem with it that I've noticed. But we'll just show you some of the settings here. I've got this down to about as low as I possibly can and still be able to use the 2070 Super card that I have. But image scaling is supposed to help, but I've got it switched off for this. Maximum frame rate is completely off. Power mode is adaptive. It's pretty much the same as in Windows, as the balance setting. You can use optimal power. You can prefer maximum performance as stuff. Adaptive seems to be the better between the global setting, but it's still not great. But I've had it on basically balanced performance on my computer for well over a couple of years now. Everything else is off, so you can see that this is very basic settings, right? And by the way, you can also check everything here. You've got this really amazing overlay, which unfortunately is not really working at the moment. Let me just show you Alt-Z. And as you can see, you can do all sorts of stuff in here. Now, I really like this. This is a major, major, major improvement over GeForce Experience, to say the least. You also can configure heads-up display, statistic views. We are going to do advanced. As you can see, there's my advanced. If you look up at the very top corner, you can see. And so I think that's what we are going to do. We're going to add temperature. We're going to add the clock speed. We're going to add the fan speed. Well, I might as well just do, well, let's just view all of them. The VRAM clock, we're not really too care about, but we can do the render latencies on this, reflex monitor position, mouse latency, which is really good. So we can see if we have a problem with clicking. If we have a delay, we have a latency delay, PC plus display latency average. We could do all of this stuff. So this is just a terrific thing. And I would highly recommend everybody get this program and use this in future because it's just so much better. It's probably easier to use than MSI Afterburner. And I definitely feel that Anna should update. I believe it does support her card, and she should get this because I think she's going to find some things out about her program that she may not like. Most importantly, the temperature, which is 42 degrees Celsius. That's my GPU temperature, and I'm only doing 1%, but I've had my computer running a little bit beforehand. And then on settings, also as well, you can actually open up the old control panel, and you can really fine-tune everything by program. But I don't have that for Pinbuilder. I tried to do it before. It just didn't seem to make much of a difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, you're not going to see where my cursor is, but I am going to press play, and we're going to start up Pinbuilder. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that was added to this, not just optimization. A couple things that I asked for are actually in there, so that's really, really nice. I did notice one little thing, though. which I will get to. It's kind of funny when you think about it. It's just one of those things where it's sort of like my kid, right? Every time I ask my kid to do the table settings and stuff while I'm cooking, because I'm too busy to do it, he always seems to forget one thing out of it. He either forgets to put plates out, or he forgets to put the silverware out, or he forgets to put the salt and pepper out, or any of like ketchup and stuff. Always, every single time. He's 25 years old. He should, get it right by now, but he always does. And I can't help but notice that one of the things that I asked for, that I think Anna did kind of forget to do one little thing, and she'll probably laugh when she sees it when I point it out, but that's okay. Anyway, as you can see, here's my settings. And at the moment, I'm at 94 frames per second with these settings. My GPU, look at how high it jumped up just to display a menu screen. And this is going to be a very, very common theme, because look at my temperature on my graphics card. Okay, so let's run a game. Let's use 8-ball, because this one is relatively basic. It has a few objects in it, but not a heck of a lot. At the moment, my GPU has gone down to 62%. The reason why it's flickering is, but look at that. Look at what just happened with the GPU. It's now at 99%, and I will tell you that it will stay there for as long as Pinbuilder is running in this program. It never goes down. And I don't need to tell anybody how much of a bad thing that actually is. This means that I've been suffering from thermal throttling, because my GPU, once I use the computer, if I have this program on for too long, my GPU can get really high in temperatures that will greatly affect my performance. But not only that, if I leave the program on too long, I run the risk of getting fatal errors. And the program, basically, the computer overheats and switches off this particular program. So, yeah, that is a huge, huge problem. And this is the only program where I'm having this problem. I'm going to switch that off. I'm going to lower my frame rate cap to 64, because the monitor is only a 60 hertz, so it doesn't make any difference. What else is there that I can lower to get a little bit more frames per second? Because I'm kind of looking for about 60 frames per second. And as you can see, my GPU usage still at 99%, and my temperature is going up. So yeah, that is something that really, really needs to be fixed. I'll just leave it at that. See, at 45 frames per second, I technically have a better card and a better processor than what Anna's using. So it may be a combination of certain things. Her settings in her own computer may actually be giving her a lot better frame rates. For instance, she may have her power settings set down to low, which really scales back the GPU, but at the expense of the CPU power, which I can do, but my GPU percentage does go down quite a bit, but my CPU percentage really goes up. I won't bother, because I've already run the program once. I've come to the realization that if I change settings in Pinbuilder, I have to pretty much exit the program and then restart it for some of these new settings to take effect. So why don't we just go into the next stage? Which one should I use? Should I use that one, or should I just use my basic one? Yeah, let's use this one. Anna had asked us to do newer versions of the existing games, or to do decent originals and stuff. And this is what I have been working on with Star Destroyer. And as you can see, I'm just sort of setting things up. I should explain a few things before I go on to an explanation here. You can see that there are, in fact, lines. I'm going to put this in editor view. Oh, we're only at 13%. That's because I've changed the ratings, but don't worry, it will go right back up again. How's my speed on here? That's actually not too bad. I can live with that. I can live with 13%. That's because I have made some changes, and it looks like the change in settings that I have made. So that's pretty good. But we'll keep an eye on that, because trust me, it does go to, oh, now it's at 75%. Okay. Yeah, as you can see, I think there's something running away in the program that's causing the GPU. Now it's at 99%. I think it's always been at 99. It just, for some reason, just changed. Anyway, here we go. You notice I got little wire lines all over the place. These are my shot paths, and I've been designing pinball tables since, I guess, well, 82, really. I remember I was about 21 years old, and there's this incredible program that came out called Pinball Construction Set, and I was so obsessed with pinball and the ability to even design my pinball tables that I worked extra hours and stuff to buy a brand new computer, which was the Atari, and then the disk drive for it, just so I could design pinball games. And I've been pretty much designing pinball games on the computer ever since. So I've learned a few things over the years, and I learned about ways to set up pinball games to play the way that I like. And I've been using this method for a long time. And these are basically my shot lines. And this is for where I want the ball to move. So if I want the ball to go up, I have to make sure that it is accessible, but from the flipper, which it is. But also, I've also learned that it's not just the ball going up that's important. It's also where the ball goes as it's going down. And as you can see, if you follow this, the edge of the pinball, and where is it going to hit? It's going to hit exactly right there. And that's exactly what I want. I don't want the ball to fall down and hit it here. I don't want the ball to fall down and hit here and be a possible drain shot. I want it right here, and that sort of could give me the ability to have a combo shot so I can shoot it up another lane and stuff. This is how I design things. It's also a real good way of seeing how much actual space that you have in your design. And we will talk about that one in a second. But say this thing here, I know I have exactly the right space to hit that target. It's a very, very tight shot, but that's exactly what I want. And let me change the angle here as well. Yeah, as you can see, this is off, right? This is something that I'm having a big problem with in Pinbuilder, is getting used to this 3D environment. And I asked for a 2D environment a long time ago for this reason, because it's really, really tough. And it can get to be a very frustrating experience with getting things set up correctly and everything spaced perfectly. With pinball, you really need to have precise placement of your objects. And unfortunately, this 3D environment, the view constantly shifts, the perspective constantly shifts, and it makes it very, very tough. And as an example, we'll use one of these lanes here. If this lane is too close together, what will happen is either the ball gets stuck, or it will just bounce backwards and forwards as it's trying to fit in. On the other hand, if this lane is too wide, what will happen is the ball will come down, you'll hit the bumper, go back up, and then come down, hit the bumper, come back up. That's one of the main reasons. The other thing is basically to see, as I said before, to see actually how much actual room that I have. With the perspective problems, it's very hard for me to be able to line up the lines of my shots the way I want them to, and get them to perform properly, like the shots are makeable, or it's a smooth shot, or things like doing a shot and it ends up being like almost an automatic drain. That's the reason why I like the 2D performance with a screenshot. Also as well, while I'm talking about the UI, a lot of this stuff can be combined together. It's getting to be a little long, and things like these two can be easily combined. It's you know, she's done it on some things, but not on other things. And, you know, it's getting a little messy here. Like, all of this can be combined. These could be combined along with that and everything else like that. The wall objects and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's what she's got planned, but, you know, it's very, very messy. Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk about the one thing that I asked for. I actually got two things that came in this release, so I'm very, very happy, but there is a small problem with the ability to do your own custom aprons. And I believe what I'll do is I'll actually show you using a texture. Okay, so this is your standard Windows apron. This is firepower, but it's called Fire Action. It was produced by a company called Title. They basically stole everything, including the artwork, and just made their own versions. They were infamous for that. Williams didn't do a damn thing about it, by the way. I don't think really Williams actually cared. They weren't selling pinball machines in Brazil anyway, so why bother? But anyway, this is the standard design, and as you can see, I rescaled this design a little bit so that it would fit into the dimensions of Pinbuilder. So you can see that the round is actually not round. It's not perfectly a circle. It's actually a little oval. That's because Fire Action and Firepower were about 1.5 inches, about 1.25 inches in scale longer than what you can use in Pinbuilder. That's the reason why things look a little squashed. So if you notice that, that's the reason why. But anyway, the apron, as you can see, I lined it up and everything so it fits perfectly, sort of, and that would be fine. So let's do, say, a game. What should I use as an example here? A game that has a smaller apron, and I think you'll see where the problem is almost instantly, or where the trough is. So the ball is going to kick, and what's it going to do? It's going to hit this, isn't it? There's no room for this to actually pop the ball out unless I do some real amazingly goofy surgery, and that's because this you can't do anything about, and this you can't do anything about. They're not adjustable, and if we want to do a custom apron, we kind of need this and this to be adjustable and this to be gone, because there is, as you can see, it's not a good fit there. So that's what I mean by forgetting one thing. She's done from the looks of her video, she's done a really fantastic job on this. Just one little thing. I have a suggestion. First off, just cut this blue thing out completely, and then the only thing it's going to cost us is another object of a wall to block it off. That's all it is, and at least we'll be able to adjust the size. Now with this, I have a rather interesting idea. I would actually, you can only adjust the top on this, which is kind of bizarre, but you know, you can't adjust the bottom on this at all. It doesn't scale or anything. I think it's more likely a model, but I was thinking about maybe having a wall object, but that you could set the width for. So from left to right, say, would be 12 millimeters that you can set. And that would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect. And I think it would be a far better replacement for this. And it's also something that we can use in other aspects. If we had a wall that we could adjust the width to, we could use it for a lot of other things. I had actually forgotten what was the other one that she had given me. The one thing I know that wasn't in there is the ability to render and unrender objects. And I don't think I explained it well, why I felt that it was so important. Anybody that uses Future Pinball and Visual Pinball know how important having rendered and unrendered objects is. You can see even in here that there's a whole bunch of triggers in here all over the place. Most of these, the vast majority, all of these star triggers, they're not rendered in Future Pinball, but they're active. And considering that we can only put in one logic controller per trigger, You can understand. You can understand that we need the ability to have some like unrendered triggers as an example, because because some of our code requires more than one trigger. Sometimes requires multiple triggers with different conditional statements on it, and that would be one of the main reasons why I wanted unrendered objects. I'd also asked for, well, either a wall that you could render or unrendered, and was either droppable, which means we can just sink it down into the playfield, or make it collidable or non-collidable. And again, Jungle Go, my game, as you can see, I use a lot of unrendered walls. These walls are there to help the ball when it comes from future pinball shoot out. It's a very, very important thing. I think I might change the angle to that actually. But as you can see, and that's to help the physics of future pinball. I use a lot of rendered and unrendered wall. I use a lot of unrendered walls on my games just to help with the physics, among other things. And I also use them as diverters so that I can change the ball path. So for instance, I have a big looping shot, and future pinball, and with future pinball, I use walls and all sorts of stuff. Like there's like 3 or 4 walls just for this particular area that you don't see, that I pop up and pop down just so that future pinball I can pull off the game. So that's really the reason why I was asking for it. And anybody with in visual pinball, especially, and future pinball, will understand exactly what I'm saying. I hope if the developer sees this, that she understands why I feel it's so important. It is, because in terms for coding alone, in terms of being able to add things, it's pretty important if you want any games of any kind of complexity. Now, about doing this particular game, as I mentioned before, I was doing a new version of Star Destroyer, and as usual, in my typical fashion, I've sort of made it a lot more complex than I think was originally intended. I can't help it. It's just the way I am. And it asked us to do the games, and I have to put it as simply as possible. It's very hard for me to be able to improve on what the games already exist, because because to make the games better, we require better tools. The tools that we have here just really aren't cutting it to make the games look more professional at the very least. And I would like to be able to do a game of a quality that would help sell Pinbuilder. That's really what I think is you need that killer app, or you need games to look better so that you could sell more versions of Pinbuilder and start building a community. And unfortunately, the editor tools really aren't very good. They're either incredibly over complex, and yet unnecessarily over complex. But there is a couple of things here that I just kind of wonder that we really desperately need, and they're very, very simple things. The first one that comes to mind almost immediately is the ability to select multiple objects. As you can see, I'm going to get rid of this. As you can see, this is one of the things right here, but we are out. I haven't really had much time to go through everything. I've been concentrating on GPU at 99%, and as you can tell from my frames per second 36, so I'm still going to be messing around with the settings, but I think I'm just going to switch everything to as low as possible. I do get at least really good FPS settings then. I'm going to continue to look into why my computer seems to be slow. I do have a brand new computer coming. It's going to have a 3080 in it, but I have to wait for new fans to come with it, because because it's a 3080, it will heat up a lot more. But in the meanwhile, I'll just continue to play with the settings here. I've tried hacking my Nvidia control panel before. It doesn't seem to make much difference. And the odd thing is, it's really only Pinbuilder that I have these problems with. So I suspect, I don't know, maybe you know, my computer hates Unreal Engine. But I do have a couple of Unreal Engine games, and they seem to perform perfectly well too as well. So I have no idea. But anyway, I'm going to continue to work on it because you kind of need about 60 frames per second for pinball, or else the ball gets very shaky, or you have collision problems, or the flippers look a little wrong and everything else like that. So I'll be working on that. In the meanwhile, I guess I'm going to have to take the time and move all of this again, aren't I? I could get away with it. There's really nothing wrong with it. It's just, as I said before, I just want to get this thing to look nicer. Even in the fact of the matter is talking about missing tools. Um, not being able to do proper curves or anything else. I have, I've been thinking about asking for primitive support with the ability to uh, add and delete our own control points, and that way we can make absolutely perfect curves here, because even though I'm doing my best effort here, I still haven't got a really good shape on these things, and I really don't want my games to look like a 7-year-old did it with a box of crayons. And unfortunately, pretty much every Pinbuilder game that I've seen looks pretty bad, to be honest. It looks very amateurish, and this is a commercial program. So I think we'll wait before I formally suggest it, but we definitely, I think, are going to need primitive support down the road. And that's not just with walls and not just with wires, but I would love the ability to be able to make my own ramps and in the shape that I want. I would love to be able to shape my lights, have a custom light object that I can just add control points and shape, because I use this in FP. I use them to light my plastics, and the effect is absolutely fantastic if you know how to do it. It just makes everything look so much better. And so this is something I think Anna's going to have to, well, bite the bullet on eventually, because this method that she's been doing, she's been working really hard just to get what she has done working right, but it's getting very close to the point where if she has any more problems with it, she is actually going to take her a lot more time. And especially since you could end up with texture problems with multiple objects. If you have a wall and then a wall and then a wall just to do a nice curve, you could have problems with textures. You do run the risk of suffering physics problems too as well. And this is something that is very common with FP, in that if a ball hits at the point where it's sort of touching two different objects, it gets very, very confused about what to do. Sometimes the ball does a little bit of a shake. Sometimes it flies off in different directions. And I have noticed this in Pinbuilder, that it's nowhere near as bad as Future Pinball, but I have noticed with playing games and recording that there is a little bit of shakiness in the physics in some places. So, and I have a feeling that's exactly what is happening, especially if you have an intersect where there's a lot of objects, even in the general area. So, yeah, I have a feeling that this is something that we're going to need. It would definitely increase the quality of the product. And that is really the most important thing, because as I said before, the tables just do not look very, very good. And that's one of those missing tools that I think we really, really badly need, is the ability to have control points that we can add and delete and allow us to reshape things and reshape this into so that it fits like this and things like that, because it just makes the games look so much better. Anyway, I think I've annoyed everybody long enough, so I guess I'm going to cut this video short. I will probably have a million suggestions. I don't write anything down. I do it from memory, but trust me, there's going to be a lot. I know Andrew, from looking at the new stuff, I know Andrew's probably very happy because he's got a lot of stuff with the logic mode. So how shall I end this thing? Well, how about this? I'm going to load this. I don't know. Yeah. No, this is, as you can tell, this is a table where I'm just, the initial table, and I decided to make a copy of it. Hang on, no, I'm going to just load a blank. To show you a couple of designs that I was thinking about doing. Most of these are not possible at the present moment, okay? And I'm sorry for that, but for various reasons, including not having the proper tools, and it might bring Pinbuilder down to its knees. So, yeah. My designs, I've been known to do some pretty complex designs. So what should we do here? The idea is that there are some that are doable, and if somebody wants to do the logic mode for me, because it's going to take a long time for me to build these tables, and I'm going to be so wiped out by it that I might not be able to do the logic. But you know, if somebody wants to do a project with me, well, I've got some playfield designs for us to do. Let's just show you a couple here. Okay, FBX. This was the sample. This is the sample table for FBX, and as you can see, very good standard badly designed, and it's actually very doable in Pinbuilder. If you notice, we've got a little bit of squished stuff here, but it does line up, so you know we can work with that. Even though it's a little bit, even though the dimensions are a little bit too short, and same with the 11B style, which I believe Anna means System 11B. It's EM sized. She put the walls on, but unfortunately the actual top to bottom is too short. Okay, so anyway, what else should we put in here? Playfield texture. Oh, it's interesting that it switched off again, isn't it? What else is here? What was a good one? I've got tons of them. You already saw Jungle Go. Don't need to show it to you. Power Surge, I don't think is possible. Yeah, you kind of need shapeable control, objects with shapeable control points to do this. Can you imagine trying to do a table like this with all of these curves the way Pinbuilder is now? No, there's no way. I would love to do it. It's a great table. I think this is suffering from the same problem. Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah. This is the original Shiva Engine 2 packing table, which nobody got to play, unfortunately, because I never finished coding, and I got so pissed off at certain people in the VP community that I decided not to do it. But as you can see, it's got a huge range of stuff. It was a sample table. So what else do we got here? What was another good one here? This is the one that I was leaning towards. A better Bally type design. As you can see, I didn't rescale it, so I made it a little bit shorter so it doesn't quite fit in here. But pretty decent table. A good example. It would be a good table to highlight if it was done properly, if it looked really, really good, if you can make it look really good, and that means smooth curves and walls that you know, that are very blocky and stuff like that. This would be a very, very good table. It's a fun table. I do have this in FP. It is a very, very fun table to play. Project X is a very modern style table. There is absolutely no way in hell they can, um, as you can see, no way in hell Pinbuilder can do this. But just to show it to you anyway. Tutankhamun. This is a table that I did with Polygame. He asked me to join the project to help him with the game and to basically redesign what he had as a playfield layout. And between the two of us, we managed to come up with this table. No chance in hell Pinbuilder is ever going to be able to do this. And I would say basically because this is 4 levels. Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but it is 4 levels. And, you know, with some modification, you know, this would actually be okay. You might be able to do this as a single level, to be honest. Because that was one complicated mofo of a table to do. Trust me, 4 different levels. We had models. There were over 100 timers in the game. Yeah, so you can imagine how complicated it was. We had animated, we had 4 gods, Egyptian gods that were animated. Oh my goodness, what a game that was. And we had the snake pit, which, you know, they had snakes that would sort of strike down every time you hit a target. It was an amazing game. Yeah, you know what, this without doubt the most fun experience I ever had was working with Steve. And it was a real joy to actually do this game. And as you can see, it's just an awesome, awesome design. Single level, maybe. I would say that this is maybe in 2 years Pinbuilder's future. Definitely need those control points. Definitely need rendered and non-rendered objects. Definitely need them to be selectable, to be collidable or non-collidable. We would definitely need more ramp. Everything that I've actually mentioned would be absolutely a necessity before I would even consider tackling this kind of a game in Pinbuilder. It was Steve had worked on the game for 6 months and had basically the script already done, but it took us 6 months just to really put the design of this game. Once I joined, so that pretty much tells you how complicated and how complex it is. So yeah, I would, yeah, this game would sell Pinbuilder. Okay, this is really what I think Pinbuilder needs more than anything else. It needs that killer app, that killer product. It needs something that really goes, that will really make the game sell. Should I show it? Yeah, let's show it. Anybody that's been around VP a long time knows this game. This is Trigon. This is a new version of Trigon, by the way. Yes, it was built in FP. It's not scripted. I was very strongly considering it. Anyway, if you don't know your VP history, this game came out about 20 years ago. It's one of the more well-known games because it kind of proved to everybody what VP was capable of doing. A game like this, you know, people were basically building out of solid walls with solid sides. They weren't using rubbers. There's a lot of stuff in this game that was basically new for its time. And to be honest, there's a couple of things that I have never seen in games since. So yeah, this is one of the more well-known games. Very important game, I think, in VP history. I'm very proud of that. I don't care what anybody says. It did turn out to be one of the most important games in VP. I know people would love a new version of this. I don't know, in terms of complexity, you basically need to be able to code it. In other words, type in your code and everything else. I don't think you would be able to pull off the complexity. And I am not too sure if I even want to do another version of Trigon. It was the game I'm probably most well known for. It's also the game that I got the most grief after I released it from. And it became a rather personal thing. So let's see. I think I got, yeah, here it is. This will take a while to load in because because the actual image itself is over 8,000 pixels long, and it doesn't look great because for some strange reason it's really washed out in this. And I have, it's kind of interesting. I can't change the lighting on it. I don't think this will work anyway. No, this is not working either. Oh, here we go. No, it's not showing up. It didn't even ask me to save it. Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. That's because I didn't save it. But anyway, yeah. As I said before, if somebody wanted to work with me, that would be fine. Trigon would require a bit of extra work from Anna's part too, as well, because I would definitely need some custom models. But you know, it would be a very long-term project. I still am actually rather favoring for an original, if I ever decided to do one, I am kind of favoring is this guy right here. This is doable. This is easy enough to do. It would be a lot of work in shaping everything, but it would have a relatively simple rule set. People don't expect a lot from a game like this. Just a good old-fashioned Bally type game, the way Bally used to do games. And it even fits in the existing playfield dimensions. So we don't have to bug Anna so much. Anyway, let me know if you're interested in that one. I guess that's what the comments in the YouTube video section are for. In the meanwhile, I think I'm just going to end this now. Yeah, I've shown you, I've said what I've had to say. I've showed off a little bit. Sorry about that. But hey, you know, I'm proud of the stuff that I've done. It's nothing compared to some of the designs that I have on my hard drive right now. I've got like hundreds and hundreds of these things floating around. I just love designing pinball games. All right, it's as simple as that. Hate scripting, hate everything else with it. Don't even like really doing the graphics as much. Just like to design pinball layouts. So there you go. If you want a pinball layout or have or anything like that, just hit me up. In the meanwhile, I am going to stop before I talk myself into problems down the road with like 50, 60 people wanting me to do layouts for them. So I think I better stop right now. In case you didn't know, my name is Shiva. I hope you had a great day. Mine was pretty good. It's always been pretty good. It's a holiday up here. I was, as a Canadian, was watching hockey, watched the hockey game, Edmonton, Vancouver. Edmonton made it through. I am very, very happy, even though that last 5 minutes, boy, oh boy, the Oilers have this incredible ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and they almost did it again. That giveaway that got Vancouver back in the game. Oh my God, was that brutal. But you know, Edmonton did win. They deserve to win the series, by the way. I don't care what anybody says. You look at the stats, you look at some of the strange goals that Vancouver scored that were basically luck. There was a couple that was just damn right lucky. I think Edmonton was just a better team. That's all. And looking forward to Edmonton versus Dallas and the Rangers versus Florida. Oh, those are two very, very good series. So I'm so looking forward to it. But I'm going to sign off now. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And hope to see you next time. So, in the meanwhile, time to go. Bye now.